You see Donald Trump running around saying that people are stupid per se, but I think the only stupid one is him. Let's look at the terms of the deal. $400 billion to the Iran. I mean, well, look,
it's not a deal. It's an MOU.
Let's make sure we're okay with semantics.
It's not semantics.
Well, let's do it. $400 billion to the Iranian regime. $100 billion in sanction relief. $300 billion in a reconstruction fund. That's a lot of money flowing to the regime. That doesn't sound like unconditional surrender.
Well, let's pick that apart. The $300 billion that we're talking about for reconstruction does not go to the regime. It goes to corporations. It's an investment, and it's to rebuild the infrastructure that the world relies upon for the oil supply chain. And it's going to be paid for primarily by the Gulf states.
Who's going to get the revenue from the oil sales?
No, I understand that.
So if you're going to commit to rebuilding Iranian infrastructure, who gets the revenue from that? You just lifted sanctions on Iranian oil.
There will be, as part of the program in the plan, there will be IMF oversight over those funds. They will not be allowed to run Iranians. They will not be allowed to. They will not be allowed to run.
None of that has been
finalized.
Said by the administration. And look, we bombed them. The Iranians have been clear they want reparations for that. And now there's a vehicle by which they could potentially get it for a war that we started, which is kind of amazing to think about. But that's really what's being contemplated here. But even if we don't get to that, apparently immediately, according to this MOU, they get oil and gas sanctions waivers. They are able to sell their oil and gas on the open market in a way that they haven't for a very long time. That is going to net them tens of billions of dollars every single month. So the president, I think, what's interesting is that I think that he feels like he can say that it's been unconditional surrender, but then he also says things like this. This is more from Axios. He says, the only way I can get tougher is if I go in there for another 2 or 3 weeks and continue to bomb the hell out of them, right? But where does that get us? The Strait of Hormuz will not be open. He seems to know that more bombing is not actually going to help the situation, which is why he decided to just cut his losses.
Feels like leverage to me. He doesn't want gas prices getting up to $5 and $6 a gallon. And the Iranians know that. Yes, they're being bombastic, by the way, but they also know they have leverage here. It's clear to me somebody was walking around the Senate with a thesaurus today because the Republicans found 8 different ways of saying this is terrible. Republicans, he's getting bad advice. This is appeasement, a colossal failure, very concerning. These are his teammates in the party. And oh, by the way, the House Republicans aren't in town, or we'd be hearing from dozens of them expressing their concern. This is a political mess. And if he wants to turn the page on Iran, he has just glued the book open for at least 60 more days.
Well, the problem is he also doesn't have any options, and he's running out of options here, and he knows that. And what is very unfortunate is that Iran holds all the cards at this point, and they understand that they have the president in America in a very vulnerable position right now. Something that was supposed to last a few weeks is now lasting months, could last. Now he's saying that he could potentially now bomb them again. So this 60-day potential deal or whatever, it has to be better, by the way, than the JCPOA, because if it is not, then I think that is a complete failure on Donald Trump's part. And Donald Trump has not shown us one bit that he has the leadership to actually produce something that is better. There is not one part of this process whatsoever from the beginning, whether he is claiming he obliterated the nuclear program, which he absolutely didn't. He has not been truthful to the American people at all. And every step of the way, it has been a failure. And this is going to be part of his legacy moving forward.
Let me play Mike Pompeo, the former Trump Secretary of State and CIA director. This is his assessment of the deal that Trump struck.
There's also some things there that just don't make any sense to me. To somehow think that because they've written down on a piece of paper something they've promised for decades that they won't build a nuclear weapon, that's foolish at best. There's 3 M's, right? Mm-hmm. We now are going to say it's okay for them to have missiles. We're going to allow them to have money. The sanctions relief that we're about to provide them is going to give them billions of dollars, and they'll rebuild many of their programs. And so that's the second M. That's a mistake. And the third one is this idea that somehow there are Iranian moderates. There's no such thing. These are all radical Islamists. And so only time will tell how this agreement will play out.
no one has been more emphatic about this idea that the Iranians have changed their ways than J.D. Vance, who is, I guess, supposed to be the chief negotiator here for the government. He has, in several interviews this week, really hammered home that he just believes that they've had a change of heart. They're ready to do things differently. They're ready to come to us and be a part of the global stage. And Mike Pompeo is pointing out that makes no sense. I mean, and that's what this whole deal is kind of predicated on.
Yeah, the triumph of hope over experience. Look, I think this is fundamentally a very pragmatic deal given the political situation, and you highlighted some of the folks who were critical of it. All of those Republicans who are criticizing it, they either lost their primary, they either are not running for re-election, or they're running in
not
deep
Roger
red,
Wicker.
or they are
Ted
running
Cruz?
in deep red states.
Not Roger
So
Wicker and
people
not
who-
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz is
He's
also
not up for
running.
re-election this year.
It doesn't. I mean, so
That's
what's the
my point.
matter?
Okay, okay,
Like,
my
are,
point, though,
are the,
my
peop-
point,
are
though,
the
is
only
this is-
people that like who does
My
count?
point, though,
We've eliminated a lot of
My
people.
point, okay,
You're not even talking about the House at this point.
Sorry, what?
My point is that this is a pragmatic deal, and a lot of Republicans actually have been thrilled to see this as the outcome.
But how
because
is
they
it
were
pragmatic?
alarmed.
Lydia,
They
you
were
think that
alarmed. They were
$400 billion
alarmed.
is
Okay, can I
pragmatic?
speak for like more than 2 seconds?
I just want to know how it's pragmatic.
They were alarmed heading into the midterms that there were some documents to suggest we would have $7 gas prices. So I think Republicans are glad to see that now gas prices are down below $4 a gallon on average nationally. We're going to see inflation come down. They are glad and relieved to see that Iran is going to be on the back burner and they can focus on domestic issues
Lydia, how can
and
you say that
radical
they're gonna be on the-
socialist candidates. And so again, there's many Republicans who are glad to have some sort of relief valve because
So it's
there
not
was
going
a
to
concern
be
that-
on the back burner. This is okay. First of all, this MOU is lasting 60 days. You're getting closer and closer to the midterm elections. If he does not come up with a solution that is better than the JCPOA, there is no way that this is resolved before the midterm elections, and every vulnerable Republican is going to have to deal with this. When it comes to gas prices, first of all, they're potentially opening the strait. The strait was not.
Potentially, it's open.
We- and
There are
we've heard
ships
that.
going through
We
it
have
this
heard that.
morning.
Hold on.
Are we just going
Independent
to ignore the
verification.
$400 billion going to
hold on.
Iran? Like, are we just going to ignore that?
On the strait, we have been told.
That's
we've been
literally
told-
what it
hold on,
is.
have
That is
we not-
untrue.
I want to ask you a question.
MOU
Have we
is
been told
untrue.
several times that the strait will open?
Yes, of course we have.
And has it opened every single time?
I don't know if it's
It
open.
has not.
I tell you
The
this
answer-
morning,
the
as of
answer,
this
it is
morning,
not. And you know,
ILS traffic is showing ships going through the strait.
Why is the strait?
Not Republicans,
why
not
is,
Democrats.
Why was the
This is
strait
hilarious.
closed? Why was the strait closed?
Why was the strait
Why
closed?
was the strait
Because the
closed?
Iranians closed it.
Because Donald Trump caused it to be closed. So at the end of the day, we are now at an MOU that is putting us back to where we were at the beginning of this thing, which means the United
With an
States
additional $400
hasn't
billion.
gotten us
I think
anything.
if
I think
you
you
ask
gotta just
people
make sure
living
that
in
we put
Iran
that
right now,
there.
they would have probably a very different perspective if it's just the way it was
The
before
Ayatollah
the
is
war
still
started.
there. The regime is still there. The people are still being oppressed. I don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
people,
now
people
they
are
just have
absolutely
$400
being
billion
oppressed, but
more than what they had
when did
before.
that become a
Mark,
consideration?
I do wonder. I mean, you just brought up the Iranian people. Their lives haven't changed
Yeah.
for
Exactly.
the better. They're still being run by Ayatollahs.
With $400 billion
it's a-
more dollars.
There's nothing.
it's
There's
not.
nothing in. If you're an Iranian
money's
right
not going
now,
to the regime.
if
It's
there's-
not going to the
there's
regime.
not. If you're an Iranian right now, what has changed for you? You still have the same structure, government structure that you had before. Now you have that government structure being promised billions of dollars of funds that only helps to reinforce their control over society. What positives are they getting out of it?
Probably not a lot, Abby, but we kind of have to pick a lane, don't we? Right?
just said.
Either we want to have this humanitarian purpose, which is going to require a more dedicated effort there and higher gas prices. Let's be honest, for the American people, this is about their wallets and what they pay at the pump. And we have no tolerance for it.
But why did
There's
you
no
launch this war?
patriotic
Well, I think
mission
that-
behind this.
that's-
It's
I
not
mean,
like
well,
World
that's
War
an
II. Like,
honest-
let's go and work
That's
and,
an honest
and
answer.
weld
I mean-
airplanes and be part of the war effort and buy war bonds. That doesn't exist anymore. That's part of
I
what
think
President
that's a
Obama was talking
transparent-
about.
That's a transparent answer because
an honest one.
basically it is that we don't have the stomach for this, which
We
is what
don't.
the Iranians knew.